Hi, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Mercurial Sarah. I will be reading the tarot cards for the signs for the week ahead. Check your rising sign because that's going to be the most accurate for you. I am not a professional tarot reader. I just think it's interesting and fun. So let's get started. I'm going to be pulling for Aries first, and then we're just going to go in sequential order. Aries. Oh, so the Two of Wands reversed is mainly a card about patience and not really getting what you want at that moment, and also just becoming deliriously bored with whatever mundane task that you have ahead of you. You also might be planning something and it might not really be going your way at this moment, or your plans are literally getting thrown upside down because this is kind of like a planning card, a preparation card. So when it's upside down, there's delays, limitations, frustrations. Mars is currently in Leo, which is your fifth house. So your fifth house is becoming a lot more active, but it's also a little bit slow too because Mars is going very, very slow right now. It's preparing to station retrograde on December 6th. So there is this sort of like stagnancy that's happening with your creative potentials, and then also a pullback that might happen as well. And the fifth house can relate to anything that's young, like young people, content creation, things that are really fulfilling for you as well. So there just might be some sort of delays or setbacks happening right now, or that you can't really take a step forward because you're waiting for something else to get done. And this is kind of the week where you really start to feel that stagnancy that's happening. Taurus. Oh, nice. The Knight of Pentacles. So this card can represent like an acquisition of wealth or making more money than you originally thought, or money just like kind of falling into your lap as well. This is also a card of journeys or journeys and travels that are kind of expensive. You might be making money, but equally spending that money as well. This is definitely a sign of wealth or a card of wealth, but it's also a card of like going from one place to the next. So this is definitely going to be a time where you're kind of transitioning into something, which makes sense because Venus is transitioning into the sign of Capricorn, and it will be with Pluto for only 9 days. And this is the last time that Venus is going to be with Pluto for the rest of our lives. And you're greatly affected because you're a Taurus rising, or you have some sort of Taurus energy. So you're linked to Venus and Venus's cycle. Venus's preferred home is the land of Taurus. So Venus and Capricorn, which is making a harmonious trine to your ascendant, might just be about you traveling, again, ninth house things going on, traveling to see a lover, traveling to buy something that's really nice and expensive and luxurious. So this week is definitely about having some sort of goods or having your needs satisfied. And then also just, again, movement is like a big thing here, but also movement with your money, maybe opening up a bank account for the last time, or maybe switching banks or something like that. Again, Pluto is the planet of upheaval and change and metamorphosis and grand beginnings and endings, especially when it has to do with your luxuries and the way that you derive pleasure out of the world. So that's kind of like changing, or you're being a little bit more introspective with that. So again, making money, but also equally spending money, and then transition and travel. Gemini. Ooh, the moon reversed. Interesting. I did a video last week, but all of the footage got deleted, so that's why I didn't post anything last week. But I remember you guys getting this card because my friend is a Gemini, and they just basically went through like the same thing. So maybe last week is going to be very similar to this week as well. This kind of card is the card of mystery, especially when it is reversed, but also when it's reversed, it means that secrets will be revealed, and also enemies as well. So there might be people that are kind of plotting behind your back, or that are jealous of you that you didn't really see, and now it's becoming overtly clear that there is something going on in the shadows that you need to be aware of. Also, your pets might be really significant for you this week, as well with last week as well. So again, there might be a continuation of something going on from last week to this week, but also your emotions being invoked this week, and also just you being very close to your enemies too, or at least seeing what the enemy is. And again, this isn't a backwards card, so it's also introspective. So this could be about you pointing out a self-sabotaging habit that you do that needs some sort of correction or redirection, especially when it comes to your animalistic instincts as well, because there's a bunch of animals over here. So this speaks to the primitive sorts of our minds and the way that we train ourselves, and the way that we're able to modulate our emotions. So I think that this is a good week for you, especially because the moon upright can be about sadness that's around you, whereas this can be like sadness inside you, but also taking action and illumination towards that. This is kind of like a dark night of the soul card, because we know when we're in our darkest moments, everything kind of shifts around and changes around. That is the one thing that life and time promises, is that things will eventually change. So when it's reversed, there is this sort of like illumination that's coming up from under you, because this is underneath and the subterranean is above. So we're kind of like unearthing something about ourselves. Mercury is in shadow period already. Mercury is going to go retrograde at 22 degrees Sagittarius. And we had some pretty kind of interesting alignments from last December to this December that are very synchronistic with each other. 22 Sagittarius was really lit up last year with a full moon. And also that is where Mercury stationed direct last year as well, was at 22 Sagittarius. And this would be in your derivative 7th house. So again, enemies coming about, or you finding the bad patterns or the threads of bad habits within your relationships, you choosing the wrong people to connect with or something like that. And you causing that sort of like unearthing of your shadow side in a very uncomfortable way. Yeah. Cancer. Ooh, 9 of Pentacles reversed. When this card is reversed, it's really interesting because you see how she has flowers on her dress, right? But when they're reversed, it looks like Martian glyphs or Martian symbols. So usually this comes up a lot when women are single and they're independent and they have their wealth and they have the things that they like around them, but they don't have love. So this can be like what you're dealing with. Like you're a single independent woman right now. And that makes sense because Mars is going to go retrograde in the sign of Cancer. And this can speak about like, you know, being an independent mother, a single mother, because Mars represents the singularity. It represents the lone wolf, the one that kind of like does things on their own with their own self-will being involved rather than peering into the eyes of another, because Mars is so self-satisfying. So this might be a week where you're alone, but you're kind of craving intimacy possibly. This is a happy card though. So it kind of feels like you're nice to be alone right now, or it feels good to be alone right now. Also, Pentacles relates to wealth and of the material world. So you might be satisfied with the things that you have around yourself, especially with like the money that you're making. And it's kind of obvious that no one can kind of fulfill you at this moment besides yourself. And that might need to be instilled within you this week, that no one else can fulfill these kind of criterias that you've made for yourself. And this can be, again, a very positive week because it's a self-fulfilling week and it's one where you're self-motivated. Leo. Funny, Page of Wands. I love this card so much because he's just like admiring the work that he's made out of his staff. So this can be like an admiration. Maybe you're getting, you're receiving lots of admiration, or that you are stepping into some sort of like powerful stance of yours and you're willing to conquer something. This is definitely an action card because wands have to do with action. But also the page cards are younger cards as well. So you might be realizing that you're not as good as a subject as you like to be, and you're kind of like re-admiring it, or you're reinstilling it into your life. You're finding something that's really nice about it. We have Mars currently in the sign of Leo, and Mars as action and willpower and drive. So you are probably very energetic at this moment and kind of like refinding your youth again, or finding the parts of yourself that your childlike self just kind of indulges over, is like very pleased about. Also, this is a card of play as well. So you might be playing this week, or that you might just have lots of fun that's coming about. This can also be a card of good news or making an announcement. Usually happy things are with this card though, like happy announcements, things that are like just new, you starting like a writing endeavor or something like that. Maybe again, finding something that kind of puts in the fluff in the pillow, you know, like you're finding the feathers, you're finding the details, and you're kind of putting them back into your life for some reason. Virgo. The devil, the attachments. This is kind of like a heavy card. It's funny because Venus is going to go into Capricorn, which is your 5th house. So you might be finding a lover that might not be so good for you, especially because Pluto has been in your 5th house for so long, since 2008, and that might have been a little bit dreary in the area of intimacy and love and everything that's fulfilling the body. So you might have to get rid of an attachment this week, or that you're kind of clinging on to like a bad attachment or something like that. But Venus in the fifth house should be good. This card is really kind of exciting because you're finding your way through humanity, or that you're being challenged by humanity. This is kind of a scary card though, honestly. You could even be forming a relationship with someone who is not like a nice person into the world. Pluto has been in your fifth house probably since like your entire like adult life, young adult life, whatever. If you're watching this, you're probably very young. And if you're a Virgo rising, then Pluto has been sitting in your fifth house for probably the entire time that you've been exploring yourself sexually. And this could have led you to having really perverse relationships or very taboo relationships where there's like a power dynamic going on. So this can be kind of like the final straw of that, or like Pluto's last hurrah, as being like, this is how I overtake your life, or this is how like I throw you into like a pit of darkness and not being able to crawl out of that. So this is kind of like this week where that kind of like comes into it. You can also be giving people attention who don't really deserve it, or that you're giving attention to the wrong things as well. Also, this is about lust too. So you might be having sex this week with someone who is, again, not so nice to society, or someone who's a little bit demonic in nature, or that you might even be finding yourself in the materiality of things and practicing chaos magic with your mind by manifesting things that have to do with your identity, like manifesting that you want better clothing, or like this purse, or a thinner body, or something of that nature, something that everything wants, but it's kind of meaningless, you know? So this is kind of, this is the card of manipulation, and again, that perverseness and that lustfulness and that unearthly desire, but that it's not like a desire to see God or anything pure or pious like that. It's more about the desire of something that is not really true to your true nature. So watch out this week, Virgo, because you can kind of like form connections with things or tie yourselves onto things that doesn't have the outcome that you want, or an outcome that satisfies God's nature of things. So Mother Earth might be really kind of antagonizing you this week, or that you might even like tie yourself on to a situation or make some sort of hopefulness that might not come out to how you want it to be. So yeah, watch out this week, Virgo. Libra. Ooh, Libra. No, the 10 of Swords upright. So this does look like it's going to be a bad week for you, honestly, or a week where you're just fatigued, you're just tired. That can basically be what this card means, is that there is just like this fatigue that not even a 10-hour nap can suffice for. So you might just be feeling burnout right now, or that you might be feeling like people are talking bad about you behind your back. You might be receiving news that kind of hurts you a little bit, or that doesn't really align with your career objectives or your goal objectives. There might just be like bad press going on about you right now as well, or that you might feel a little bit awkward. We do have Venus going into your fourth house of home and family. So there might be someone of your home and family that needs to be taken care of, and you might not really be taking care of them or something like that, or that your family needs you to be a little bit more astute or a little bit more reasonable with them. So you kind of have to put your own ego aside in order to provide for another person's ego. And this also can mean that you have to put something to rest as well. So there might be some sort of like death and rebirth moment that you have, maybe bad financial news as well. There can be a little bit of illness too, or that you might be getting a little bit of a cold, so you have to take the week off. But again, there is hope on the horizon too. So with every death or with every kind of consequence, there is some sort of like karmic indebtedness as well that might be infused into your body once more. Scorpio. This might mean that all of your labor might have been for nothing, or that you connected with this person, or that you tried to make something happen, or you tried to make amount of money and it just wasn't the amount that you were searching for, or that there wasn't any sufficient cause for this. This can also mean that someone owes you money and they're not paying it back. And it's also a card of waiting. So this week might just be about you waiting for someone to pay you back, or waiting for something to happen, or again, your expectations aren't met. Sagittarius. Oh, okay. This card is definitely a card of sorrowness. Usually I see this with issues with the mother as well. Also, this can be about having some sort of hopelessness, or that there might be issues with situations that you can't really control. So this week might kind of test you and what you can control and what you can't control, and that you can only really control your reactions or your emotions. This also just might be a time where you're sitting in bed a lot, or that you're kind of just at home a lot as well. But look at the quilted fabrics. There's lots of roses over here. And also the swords mean intelligence and action as well. So there might be like radical action that you take upon stuff. And also I love this blanket. It's like amazing. So even though you might be at home, you still might be indulging in the luxuries. I mean, this bed is really nice. They're wearing a white robe. So it's not like all bad. There is some sort of comfort that you have that you might have to find at home, or again, reconnecting with the mother, or reconnecting with the mother-in-law, or something like that, because this is a family card too. I don't know where I read that, but there is something to do with like family with this card. So it might not be you that's affected this week. It might be one of your family members that's a little bit sad, or they might just have like a sickness or a cold, or that they have like a misunderstanding where they have to verbally fight with someone and then actionably utilize their intelligence for some reason, or converse and talk to another person that they don't really like to. And this can kind of bring some sort of depression or sorrow. But yes, Capricorn. Oh, Wheel of Fortune. This is a really good card because this is kind of like everything is up in the air and whatever lands on your plate is like perfectly put there. So this is definitely a card of just random chance coincidences that happen. That's really nice. Venus is going into Capricorn, and Venus can do no wrong. Venus is about love and pleasure and harmony and balance and everything that satisfies another person, or everything that pleasures another person. So desire and the principles of beauty and creativity are going to be endowed into your spirit in kind of like a different way this week. So this is a good card for you, especially because anything can happen. You might run into someone that you really enjoy, or that you might just start to get into a relationship with someone, and it just happened out of nowhere, or things started turning. The wheel of fate just started kind of like going all over the place, and now you're kind of like stuck in the center of it, but you're also having lots of fun with it as well. You also might be learning things this week, or that you might be indulging yourself in the things that you actually want to do as well. Like you might be shopping, or you might be reading a book that you've always wanted to read, or seeing a movie that you've always wanted to see. People just complimenting you all over the place, you seeing things for what they truly are and what they mean for you. Usually when planets come into the first house, I like to call it like an emergence of the subconscious, because that planet has been traveling through your 12th house of the subconscious. So there's like this beauty that's like coming about inside of you, or there's this beauty that's also being introduced into your own personality that you've been subconsciously working on. You've been working on your healthy habits, you've been working on your mental health, you've been working on your reactions with other people, and how you can make relationships more like harmonious and better for the world in general. So this is definitely a week where you're coming into a fortunate circumstance out of nowhere. Like you didn't see it coming, or that you met someone in the elevator, or just like something weird like that might happen to you this week that ends up benefiting you. And then also showing you how beautiful that you are as well. This is the last 9 days of the Pluto in Capricorn. So these final changes of the past, decade are going to be endowed into you a little bit more seriously this week. So I think that this is a good card for the Capricorns. Aquarius. Oh, King of Wands. This is definitely a card of nobility and wisdom, and that you have lots of jurisdiction over whatever is happening in your life right now. So you might be the one calling the shots at this moment. We do have Mars retrograde in your 7th house. Of course, it's not retrograde right now. So there might be advancements or forward motion within your relationship center, and you might feel really kind of in charge of that as well, that you're finding your independence in your relationships. Again, Aquarius is kind of like a detached energy. So you need to be with someone who also matches that energy of kind of, they're their own superstar, or they're the character of their own world, just like how you are. So this might be a time of your life right now where you're finding positivity within your relationships, and you're also doing your best to maintain healthy relationships as well, because you have lots of wisdom within yourself and you know exactly what to say. And also you have this sort of like kinglyship as well going on. Usually this card shows very well-liked individuals. So this week you might be very well-liked, or people might be entertaining towards you, or people are just kind of more complimentary towards you. Also, this is a card of spiritual development as well. So you might be coming into a large sum of spiritual knowledge or wisdom, and there's just sort of gracefulness and elegancy that you're able to kind of command within yourself and then also with other people. So this sort of like energy that you vibrate is going to emanate to other people. So other people are really going to like like to be around you. So good week for you guys. Again, you might kind of like find yourself in control of a situation, and then you kind of manipulating the situation in a way that benefits not only you, but other people around you. Thus, you're going to gain some sort of respect with other people as well. So this is a good card for Aquariuses. Pisces. Oh, very nice. The giving energy, the balanced energy. So this is definitely a card this is definitely a week where you feel like you are giving but also receiving at that same time. So giving is going to feel like you're also receiving. So this is a really good card for the Pisces because it's also having to do with the material world. You might find yourself giving back to other people, giving back to yourself. You're kind of like stabilizing yourself in this more stoic notion of who you are. And then also like not going too fast, not going too slow, being balanced, Saturn is currently in your first house, or Saturn is currently with one of your, or adjacent to a personal planet of yours if you're watching this. And Saturn is about balance and harmony and preparing yourself for the future, and doing what you can in order to kind of like instill a better legacy or instill a better sense of worldliness within yourself. You also might be too generous right now, where it's kind of like you are disrespecting yourself in a way. So be careful with lending people money. But this is kind of like a so-so energy. And that's kind of like what Saturn likes. Saturn doesn't really like extreme situations. So you just might be like in the mundane and kind of like humming the tone of like what everyone else is. So you're kind of like getting ingrained into society, but also just be careful with giving up too much of your money, or doing something that is out of your character. Just be who you are, be present in the moment, and then also again be that generous, sort of boastful and felicitous self that you normally are. But yeah, and I think that is all that I have to say for the signs for the week ahead. Thank you so much for watching.